Her street girl helps a crying boy in the street, unaware that he is the son of a millionaire. The father witnesses the scene and is deeply touched by the gesture. He decides to take her home, arousing conflict within his own family. But what begins as gratitude turns into a struggle for love, belonging, and redemption. If this story interested you, subscribe to our channel, don't forget to like this video, and tell us which city you're watching us from. We'll keep going. The biting wind of Boston's November cut through her threadbare jacket like it wasn't even there. She was too small for this city, too small for the hurried glances, for the wide strides, for the towering buildings. Her bare feet carried the dust of a world that didn't want her. Her frail body was invisible, as if time and concrete had decided to erase her slowly, without haste, without pain, just through forgetting. They called her kid, a brat, nuisance, ghost. But if she ever had a real name, she couldn't remember it anymore. The streets had become her identity, the alleyways her bedroom, the dumpsters her dining room. She knew which street corners caught the warmth from the store vents on cold nights, and which restaurant trash bins were most generous. She had learned early that people are in a hurry, and that hurry leaves no room for compassion. She refused handouts, not out of pride, but out of instinct. There was something inside her older than hunger, a need to be respected, not tolerated. Her eyes said everything. Two deep wells of pain, vigilance, and somewhere in their depths, a spark of hope that stubbornly refused to die. Beacon Hill towered above her, its elegant brownstones housing families who would never know what it felt like to sleep on cold concrete. Sometimes she would stand across the street from the bay windows, watching families gather for dinner, their faces illuminated by warm light. She didn't feel envy, just a distant wonder, like observing creatures from another planet. That Thursday afternoon, the sky opened up without warning. Rain pelted the sidewalks, sending pedestrians scurrying for cover, newspapers held over heads, expensive shoes dodging puddles. She took shelter under the awning of a coffee shop, pressing herself against the wall to avoid the manager's inevitable shooing motion when he noticed her. From here, she could smell the pastries and coffee, a torment that had become so familiar. It was almost comforting. That's when she saw him, a boy about her age, maybe 8 or 9, running down the sidewalk. Well-dressed, new sneakers, a backpack that wasn't frayed at the edges. He was laughing, racing the raindrops, until his foot caught on an uneven piece of sidewalk. He went down hard, knee first against the wet concrete. She watched as people passed by. A woman in a business suit glanced down, hesitated, then hurried on. A man with an umbrella sidestepped the fallen boy without breaking stride. The boy sat up, his face contorting as he examined his bleeding knee. Before she could think about what she was doing, she darted out from under the awning. The rain immediately soaked through her clothes as she approached him carefully, crouching beside him. From her pocket, she pulled out an old but clean handkerchief, one of her few possessions. With practiced gentleness, she wiped away the blood and dirt from his knee. The boy stared at her, surprised but not afraid. "That hurts," he said, his voice catching. "It always does," she replied, her voice raspy from disuse. She noticed his shoelaces had come undone, perhaps what had caused him to trip. With small, nimble fingers, she tied them securely. "My name's Ethan," he offered, watching her curiously. "What's yours?" She just shrugged, continuing her work on his knee. "Don't you have a name?" he pressed. "Not anymore," she answered simply. "Ethan!" A deep voice called from down the street. A tall man was striding toward them, concern etched across his face. Michael Crawford moved with purpose, his broad shoulders tense under his expensive coat. He had been waiting in the car just around the corner, checking emails while Ethan ran ahead to the bakery they frequently visited. When his son hadn't appeared after a few minutes, he'd gone looking. "Dad, I fell, but she helped me," Ethan explained, as his father reached them. Michael looked at the small, soaked figure crouched beside his son. Her clothes hung from her thin frame, and her dark hair was plastered to her face from the rain. But what struck him were her eyes, too old for her young face, cautious and intelligent. "Thank you for helping my son," he said, his voice softer than his appearance would suggest. She nodded once, already backing away. People like him made her nervous, men in expensive coats who drove expensive cars and lived in expensive houses. They were unpredictable. Sometimes they gave money and sometimes they called the police. "Wait," Ethan called out. "Dad, she's all wet and she doesn't have a name." Michael frowned, studying the girl more carefully. No adult in sight. No proper clothing for the weather. The realization of what he was seeing hit him like a physical blow. "Where are your parents?" he asked, though he suspected the answer. She just stared back, neither defiant nor pleading, just waiting. "Are you hungry?" Michael tried again. A slight nod, the first real response. "Dad, can we take her to get something to eat, please?" Ethan was already standing, seemingly forgetting about his injured knee and his newfound concern for the girl. Michael hesitated. He was the CEO of Crawford Architecture, a man who made split-second decisions worth millions of dollars. But this wasn't business. This was messier. The professional part of his brain told him to call social services and let them handle it. The human part, the part that had been increasingly silent since Claire's passing, stirred uncomfortably. "Come on," he found himself saying. "There's a cafe right around the corner. Let's get you both dry and get some food." The girl didn't. Move trust wasn't something she gave easily. It had been beaten out of her by experience. "Please," Ethan added, holding out his hand to her. "They have the best hot chocolate in Boston. Dad says so." Something in the boy's earnest face made her relent. She nodded again and followed them, keeping a careful distance, ready to run if needed. The rain continued to fall, washing the streets clean of everything except her footprints, which followed hesitantly behind the confident strides of the man and his son. Inside the cafe, the warmth hit her like a wall. The smells were overwhelming, coffee and cinnamon and bread. Her stomach clenched painfully in response. She remained by the door while Michael ordered, her eyes tracking every exit, every potential threat. "Here," Michael said, returning with a tray. "Hot chocolate, a sandwich, and some soup. Sit down and eat." She perched on the edge of the chair, watching them warily as Ethan chatted excitedly about school and his upcoming baseball game. Michael nodded at appropriate intervals, but his attention kept returning to the girl. She ate slowly, deliberately, as if savoring each bite. Or perhaps he realized she was making it last because she didn't know when she'd eat again. "Where do you live?" Michael asked during a lull in Ethan's monologue. The girl's eyes flickered to the window. Outside, the rain had turned to sleet, coating the streets in a treacherous shine. "Nowhere?" Ethan asked, his eyes widening. "Like nowhere at all?" She shrugged again, uncomfortable with the attention. Michael's phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca, his wife of 3 years. "Where are you two? Dinner's getting cold." He glanced at the girl, then at the worsening weather outside, then back at his phone. Another decision to make. Another complication in an already complicated life. Rebecca wouldn't be pleased. Their marriage was already strained, held together by routine and the shared love of Ethan. But he couldn't just leave this child to the freezing streets of Boston. "Ethan, we need to go home," Michael said finally. "Your stepmom is waiting." Ethan's face fell. "But what about her?" He nodded toward the girl, who had gone very still, sensing the end of this brief respite. Michael took a deep breath. "Would you like to come with us?" he asked her directly. "Just for tonight, it's too cold to be outside." Her eyes widened in suspicion, searching his face for deceit. Finding none, she gave a barely perceptible nod. "Good," Michael said, standing and gathering their things. "My car's just around the corner." As they stepped back out into the sleet, Ethan moved closer to the girl. "Don't worry," he whispered. "Our house is really warm, and I have extra pajamas you can borrow." She didn't respond, but for the first time that day, something like a smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. She didn't believe in fairy tales or happy endings. The streets had taught her better than that. But for tonight at least she would be warm. What she didn't know as she climbed into the back seat of Michael's luxury sedan was that her life was about to change forever, and that the warmth she sought wasn't just about temperature, it was about belonging, about being seen. The journey ahead would be difficult, filled with resistance and pain, but also with the possibility of something she had never dared to dream of: a family. As Michael pulled away from the curb, he glanced in the rearview mirror at the small, bedraggled figure sitting next to his son. "We need to call you something," he said. "What name would you like?" She stared out the window at the falling sleet, at the city that had both broken and forged her. After a long moment, she spoke, her voice barely audible. "Lily, I think. I was once called Lily." The Crawford residence stood proudly on Louisburg Square, a testament to old money and new success. 3 stories of meticulously maintained brownstone that had been in the family for generations. As Michael's car pulled into the private parking space, Lily pressed her face against the window, her intuitive breath fogging the glass. She had passed by these houses many times but never imagined she would enter one. "We're home," Ethan announced, unbuckling his seatbelt with practiced ease. He glanced at Lily, who hadn't moved. "It's okay. Come on." Michael opened the back door, and Lily slid out cautiously. Her wet shoes made squelching sounds on the cobblestone walkway as they approached the front door. Michael unlocked it, and warm light spilled out onto the steps. The first thing Lily noticed was the smell, cinnamon and roast chicken and something floral. The second was the woman standing in the entryway, her arms crossed over her cream cashmere sweater. Rebecca Crawford's beauty was refined and deliberate, from her perfectly highlighted blonde hair to her manicured nails. Her smile faltered as her gaze moved from her husband to Ethan, then settled on the small, wet stranger between them. "What's this?" Rebecca asked, her voice controlled despite the surprise evident in her eyes. "Rebecca, this is Lily," Michael explained, placing a gentle hand on the girl's shoulder. "She helped Ethan when he fell outside the bakery. It's sleeting, and she has nowhere to go tonight." Rebecca's expression shifted, subtle but unmistakable. The perfect hostess replacing the startled homeowner. "I see," she said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Well, you're soaked through. Let's get you into some dry clothes." Ethan bounced on his toes. "She can borrow my pajamas and stay in the guest room next to mine." "Ethan, honey, go wash." "Up for dinner?" Rebecca directed, her tone gentle but firm. Once Ethan had thundered up the stairs, she turned back to Michael. "A word, please?" They stepped into the study, leaving Lily standing alone in the foyer, dripping onto the Italian marble floor. The house was impossibly big, impossibly clean. Everything gleamed, the banister, the mirrors, the glass light fixtures overhead. She remained perfectly still, afraid that movement might somehow break the spell, might remind these people that she didn't belong here. Through the partially closed door of the study, hushed but intense voices carried. "Cannot just bring a street child into our home without consulting me," Rebecca was saying. "What was I supposed to do, leave her in a freezing rainstorm?" Michael countered. "Call social services. That's what they're for. At this hour, they just put her in an emergency shelter, which is where she belongs until proper arrangements can be made. One night, Rebecca. She's just a child." A pause, then Rebecca's voice, softer now. "And what about our child? Have you thought about Ethan's safety? She's 8 years old, for God's sake. And she helped Ethan when he was hurt. You don't know anything about her, where she's been, what she might be carrying." "Enough." Michael's tone was final. "She stays tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure something out." Lily heard footsteps approaching and quickly looked down at her feet. Rebecca emerged from the study, her composure restored. "Let's get you cleaned up," she said with practiced warmth. "Follow me." Upstairs, Rebecca led Lily to a bathroom bigger than any room Lily had ever been in. Marble countertops, a shower, with multiple jets and a clawfoot tub dominated the space. "You can take a bath," Rebecca said, turning on the taps. "I'll find you something to wear. Ethan's things will be too big, but I might have some old clothes in storage that could work." Lily stood awkwardly by the door while the tub filled. Rebecca added bath salts, creating a mountain of fragrant bubbles. "Towels are here," she indicated a warming rack. "Soap and shampoo in the caddy. Can you manage on your own?" Lily nodded. "Good. I'll leave clothes outside the door. Join us downstairs when you're ready." Rebecca hesitated at the threshold. "And Lily, please don't touch anything in the cabinets. Those are expensive skincare products." When the door closed, Lily approached the tub warily. She hadn't had a proper bath in. She couldn't remember. Carefully, she peeled off her wet, grimy clothes, leaving them in a small pile by the door. The water was so hot it made her skin tingle as she slipped in, the bubbles rising up around her shoulders like a protective cloud. For several minutes, she just sat there, letting warmth seep into her bones. Then, remembering she was expected, downstairs she quickly washed her hair and body, with the sweet-smelling products lined up on the edge of the tub. The water turned grey with the city grime that had accumulated on her skin. When she emerged pink and clean, she found a folded stack of clothes outside the door as promised. A pair of leggings, a long-sleeved shirt, and a cardigan, all slightly too large but infinitely better than her wet rags. She dressed quickly, and after a moment's hesitation, left her old clothes on the bathroom floor. Downstairs, the Crawfords were already seated at the dining table. Ethan waved enthusiastically when he saw her. "Lily, you look different. Come sit by me." Michael pulled out a chair for her, and she climbed up, acutely aware of Rebecca's eyes tracking her every move. The table was set with china and crystal that looked too delicate to touch. A feast was laid out: roast chicken, potatoes, vegetables, and freshly baked rolls. "Help yourself," Michael encouraged, passing her a plate. Lily took small portions of everything, not wanting to seem greedy. She watched how Ethan held his fork and knife, copying his movements carefully. "So, Lily," Rebecca began, her voice pleasant. "How old are you?" 8, I think," Lily answered quietly. "You think?" Lily nodded, focusing on cutting her chicken into tiny pieces. "And your parents?" Rebecca pressed. "Rebecca," Michael warned. "It's a reasonable question, Michael. If she has family, they must be worried sick." Lily kept her eyes on her plate. "No family," she said simply. "Everyone has family," Rebecca insisted. "Somewhere." "Not me." Lily's voice was flat, final. An uncomfortable silence fell over the table, broken only by the clink of silverware against china. Ethan, sensing the tension, launched into a story about his day at school, his baseball practice, his science project. Lily listened, fascinated by this glimpse into a normal childhood. After dinner, Rebecca began clearing the plates. "Ethan, homework time. Michael, can you show our guest to the spare room?" "Can't Lily hang out in my room first?" Ethan pleaded. "I want to show her my baseball cards." "Not tonight, honey. It's getting late and you have school tomorrow." "But Mom..." "Ethan," Rebecca's tone left no room for argument. "Homework. Now." With a disappointed sigh, Ethan slid off his chair. "Good night, Lily. See you in the morning." Michael led Lily upstairs to a small room at the end of the hall. It was sparsely furnished, a bed, a dresser, a reading lamp, but to Lily, it was palatial. "Bathroom's next door if you need it," Michael explained. "We're just down the hall if you need anything during the night." He hesitated, then added, "You're safe here, Lily. Get some sleep." After he left, Lily stood in the middle of the room, unsure what to do with herself. The bed looked impossibly soft, the sheets crisp and white. She approached it cautiously, as if it might disappear. Before lying down, she checked that the door could open from the inside. Then she took a roll she'd secretly pocketed from dinner and hid it under the pillow, an old habit, insurance against future hunger. Only then did she climb under the covers, sinking into comfort so profound it was almost painful. She lay awake for a long time, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the house, the hum of the heating system, the tick of a clock somewhere, the faint murmur of voices from downstairs. Through the wall she could hear Ethan talking to himself as he worked on his homework. Sometime later, the voices from downstairs grew louder. "Not our responsibility," Rebecca was saying. "One night, that's all I'm asking," came Michael's reply. "And tomorrow, what then? You can't save everyone, Michael." "I'm not trying to save everyone, just her." "Why? Because she reminds you of Claire? Because she's another broken thing you think you can fix?" "Silence, then." "That's not fair." "Isn't it? Ever since Claire." Don't bring her into this." More silence, then footsteps on the stairs. Lily quickly closed her eyes, pretending to be asleep in case someone checked on her. But no one came. In the dark, quiet room, Lily stared at the ceiling. Who was Claire? And why did Rebecca sound so afraid when she spoke about her? There were currents moving beneath the surface of this perfect house, this perfect family. Currents that Lily recognized because she had been swimming in dangerous waters her whole life. Tomorrow would come, with its decisions and consequences. For tonight, though, she was warm, she was full, she was clean. She allowed herself to imagine, just for a moment, what it would be like to stay, to have a room, a bed, regular meals, to go to school like Ethan, to belong somewhere. But Lily knew better than to hope. Hope was a luxury for children with families, with futures, not for invisible girls picked up from rain-slicked streets. Tomorrow she would be gone, back to the alleyways and doorways that had been her home. This night was just a brief respite, a glimpse through a window into a world that would never be hers. Or so she thought, as sleep finally claimed her. One hand still clutching the roll under her pillow, the other curled protectively around herself. She didn't yet know that Ethan Crawford, lying awake in his own bed, was already planning how to convince his parents to let her stay, or that Michael, staring at the ceiling, beside his silently fuming wife, was remembering what it felt like to save someone instead of just providing for them, or that Rebecca, her back turned rigidly away from her husband, was calculating exactly how much of a threat this small, quiet girl posed to the life she had so carefully constructed. Morning light filtered through the curtains, casting soft patterns across Lily's face. For a moment she was disoriented. The bed was too soft, the air too warm, the silence too complete. Then she remembered. The Crawford house, the spare room, the clean clothes folded neatly at the foot of the bed. She sat up quickly, listening. The house was quiet but not empty. She could hear faint movements downstairs, the distant sound of cabinets opening and closing. Carefully she slipped out of bed, her feet sinking into the plush carpet. The roll she'd hidden under her pillow went into the pocket of the borrowed cardigan. Downstairs she followed the sounds to the kitchen. Michael stood at the counter, pouring coffee into a travel mug. He was already dressed in a tailored suit, his tie perfectly knotted. He looked up when she appeared in the doorway. "Good morning, Lily," he said, his voice warm. "Did you sleep well?" She nodded, hovering uncertainly at the threshold. "Hungry? There's cereal in the pantry, or I can make you some eggs." Before she could answer, rapid footsteps thundered down the stairs, and Ethan burst into the kitchen, still in his pajamas, his hair sticking up in all directions. "Lily, you're still here," he exclaimed, as if he'd been afraid she might have disappeared in the night. "Dad, can Lily come to my baseball game today? It's after school. Coach says I might get to pitch." Michael glanced at his watch. "We'll talk about it later, buddy. Right now you need to get dressed or you'll be late for school." He turned to Lily. "Help yourself to breakfast. Rebecca will be down soon. I've got an early meeting, but I'll be back by mid-afternoon." Ethan was already pulling Lily toward the pantry. "We have like a million kinds of cereal. My favorite is the one with the little chocolate pieces, but Mom only lets me have that on weekends." As Ethan chattered away, showing Lily the cereal, options, the proper way to set the table, and how to operate the complicated coffee machine that Rebecca insisted on using instead of a regular coffee pot, Lily slowly relaxed. Ethan's enthusiasm was contagious, his acceptance of her presence complete and unquestioning. They were halfway through their bowls of cereal when Rebecca appeared, already dressed in slim-fitting jeans and a cashmere sweater, her hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. She paused briefly at the sight of them sitting together at the kitchen island. "Good morning," she said, her voice neutral. "Ethan, hurry up. The bus comes in 15 minutes. Can Lily come to school with me?" Ethan asked through a mouthful of cereal. "No, honey. Lily isn't enrolled at your school." "But finish your breakfast, please." While Ethan ran upstairs to get dressed, Rebecca poured herself coffee, her movements precise and controlled. "Did Michael speak with you this morning?" she asked Lily. Lily shook her head. "I see." Rebecca stirred creamer into her coffee. "He had to leave for an early meeting. He'll be calling social services when he returns. They'll find a proper placement for you." Lily said nothing, but her shoulders tensed. She'd been in proper placements before. Group homes with too many children and not enough food. Foster families who saw her as a paycheck, not a child. She preferred the streets, where at least she was free. In the meantime, Rebecca continued, I work from home today. You can stay in your room or in the living room. There are books on the shelves if you read. I read, Lily said quietly. Rebecca looked at her more carefully. School? Before you were on the streets? Sometimes, when we stayed in one place long enough. Something flickered across Rebecca's face. Surprise, perhaps, or a reluctant acknowledgement that this small, dirty child had once had a different life. Before she could respond, Ethan reappeared, fully dressed with his backpack slung over one shoulder. Bye, Lily. See you after school, he called, as Rebecca ushered him toward the door. Be good today, Rebecca told him, straightening his collar. And remember, Mrs. Peterson is picking you up for your play date with Tyler after school. But my baseball game is on Thursday, not today. Today is Tuesday. Oh, Ethan's face fell. But can Lily stay until I get back? Rebecca sighed. We'll see. Now go or you'll miss the bus. After Ethan left, the house fell into uncomfortable silence. Rebecca disappeared into her home office, leaving Lily alone in the kitchen. Uncertain what to do with herself, Lily carefully rinsed her cereal bowl and placed it in the dishwasher, just as she'd seen Ethan do. She spent the morning exploring the house, moving silently from room to room. The living room with its plush sofas and gleaming grand piano. The formal dining room they hadn't used the night before. The study with walls lined with books. She ran her fingers along the spines, pulling one out occasionally to look at the pictures or try to decipher the words. In a quiet corner of the living room, a collection of framed photographs caught her attention. Many featured Ethan at various ages, as a toddler on a beach riding a tricycle, blowing out birthday candles. Michael appeared in many of them, his smile more relaxed than Lily had seen it. Rebecca was in the more recent ones, always perfectly composed, her arm around Ethan or her hand on Michael's, but one photo stood apart from the others. It showed a younger Michael with a woman Lily didn't recognize, tall with curly dark hair and a wide, uninhibited smile. They stood on a mountaintop somewhere, windblown and happy, their arms around each other. This must be Claire, Lily realized. The woman Rebecca had mentioned, whose name had made Michael go quiet. That was taken in Colorado. Lily startled. Rebecca stood in the doorway watching her. Michael and his first wife loved hiking, Rebecca continued, approaching to stand beside Lily. She picked up the photo, looking at it with an unreadable expression. They were married for 8 years before the accident. What happened? Lily asked before she could stop herself. Rebecca hesitated, then set the photo down. Car accident, black ice on the highway. Claire was pregnant with their first child. She spoke matter-of-factly, but her fingers lingered on the frame. Ethan came along a few years later. I met Michael when Ethan was 3. We married a year after that. Lily absorbed this information silently. It explained the sadness she sometimes glimpsed in Michael's eyes, the careful way he moved through the world, as if afraid to disturb its fragile balance. Are you hungry? Rebecca asked abruptly, changing the subject. It's nearly lunchtime. The kitchen, Rebecca made sandwiches, slicing them diagonally the way Ethan preferred. They ate at the kitchen island, the silence between them not exactly comfortable but no longer tense. Do you have a family somewhere, Lily? Rebecca asked finally. Someone who might be looking for you? Lily shook her head. Not anymore. What happened to them? Lily stared at her sandwich. My mom got sick, then she was gone. There was just me after that. No father? No grandparents or aunts or uncles? Never knew my dad. Mom said he left before I was born. Lily shrugged. There was an aunt once, but she didn't want me. Rebecca's expression softened slightly. How long have you been on your own? Don't know exactly. A long time. And no one's tried to help you? No one's reported you missing? Lily shook her head again. I stay invisible. It's safer that way. Rebecca seemed about to say something else when her phone rang. She checked the screen, her expression tightening. I need to take this. Help yourself to more if you're still hungry. Alone again, Lily finished her sandwich, then wandered back to the living room. The piano drew her attention, She'd seen people playing them sometimes through windows or in the subway station. Carefully, she pressed one key, then another, delighted by the clear, pure sounds. "Do you play?" Lily whirled around to find Michael standing in the doorway. She hadn't heard him come in. "No," she said quickly, stepping away from the piano. "I'm sorry." "No need to apologize," Michael said, setting down his briefcase. "Claire used to play. I've kept it tuned, but no one uses it much anymore." He crossed the room and sat on the bench, patting the space beside him. After a moment's hesitation, Lily joined him. Michael placed his hands on the keys and began to play a simple, gentle melody. Lily watched, fascinated by the way his fingers moved, creating something beautiful from nothing. "Would you like to try?" he asked, stopping. He showed her how to place her fingers, how to press the keys to create different sounds. She was a quick learner, and soon she was playing a simple tune, her face lighting up with each successful note. "You have a natural talent," Michael observed. "If you want, we could arrange for lessons." Lily looked up at him, confused. "But I'm leaving. The social service is good." Michael's expression grew serious. "About that, I've been making some calls. There's a process we'd need to go through, but—" "Michael, there you are." Rebecca stood in the doorway, her arms crossed. "I didn't hear you come in." "I got out of my meeting early," Michael explained, standing. "I was just showing Lily some piano basics." "I see." Rebecca's gaze shifted between them. "Did you make those calls we discussed?" "Did?" Michael's tone was careful. "Can we talk in the study?" While they were gone, Lily continued experimenting with the piano, finding combinations of notes that sounded right together. She was so absorbed that she didn't notice Ethan's return until he dropped his backpack on the floor beside her. "You're playing our piano," he exclaimed. "That's so cool. Dad used to play with Claire, but now no one does, except when I bang on it sometimes." "Your dad was teaching me," Lily explained, making room for him on the bench. "Dad knows how to play. He never plays for me." "He's good," Lily said. "He played a pretty song." Ethan's face lit up. "Maybe he'll play for both of us now. Hey, want to see my baseball cards? Mum said I could hang out with you until dinner." The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Ethan showed Lily his collection of baseball cards, explaining the statistics and player rankings with great seriousness. They built an elaborate fort in his room using blankets and chairs. He taught her how to play his favorite board game, cheering when she won and immediately demanding a rematch. Through it all, Lily felt something unfamiliar growing inside her, a warmth, a lightness, a sense of connection she'd almost forgotten. That was possible. Ethan accepted her completely, without questions or conditions. He didn't care where she'd come from or why she had no family. To him, she was just Lily, his new friend. At dinner, the mood was different. Michael seemed distracted. Rebecca tense. Ethan, oblivious to the undercurrents, chatted about his day at school, his play date with Tyler, and his plans to teach Lily how to pitch a baseball. "Ethan," Michael said during a pause, "Lily might be staying with us for a while longer." Ethan's face lit up. "Really, like forever?" "Not forever," Rebecca interjected quickly. "Just until proper arrangements can be made." "Yeah, but that could take time," Michael continued. "The system is overloaded, and in the meantime, Lily needs a stable environment. So she can stay in the guest room and come to my baseball game Thursday?" Ethan was practically bouncing in his seat. "Yes to both," Michael confirmed, smiling at Lily's stunned expression. "And we'll need to look into getting her registered for school. She can go to my school. Mrs. Davis is the best teacher ever, and my friend Jake has an extra desk next to him that no one uses." As Ethan's excitement bubbled over, Lily watched. Rebecca. Her smile was fixed, her fingers tight around her water glass. She said all the right things about school supplies and proper clothing and doctor's appointments that would need to be scheduled. But her eyes never quite met Lily's, and when she thought no one was looking, her expression hardened into something like fear. Later, as Lily lay in bed in the guest room, her room at least for now, she heard the voices again from downstairs. Rebecca and Michael, their words indistinct but their tones clear. Anger, frustration, pleading, something about not ready and too soon, and think about Ethan. She didn't understand everything happening in this house, the currents of grief, and resentment that flowed beneath its perfect surface. But she understood enough to know that her presence had disturbed something fragile, had forced these people to confront feelings they'd rather keep buried. For the first time in years, Lily allowed herself to hope. Not for a fairy tale ending, she was too practical for that, but for something simple, a place to belong if only for a little while, a chance to be visible, a chance to matter to someone. Outside her window, Boston continued its nighttime rhythm, indifferent to the small dramas, playing out behind closed doors. But inside this house on this night, something had shifted. Boundaries had been redrawn, possibilities had opened. And in the darkness, Lily smiled. Days turned into weeks. Autumn gave way to winter, and Boston's streets disappeared under blankets of snow. Inside the Crawford house, a tentative routine had established itself. Lily attended the same private school as Ethan, placed in a class for children who needed extra academic support. Rebecca had insisted on this, citing Lily's educational gaps, though Michael had argued she was bright enough for regular classes. Each morning, Rebecca drove them to school in her silver Mercedes, her playlist of classical music filling the car. She dropped them off with the same instructions: be good, learn something, make me proud. The words were meant for both children, but her eyes always rested longer on Ethan. Afternoons were spent on homework, supervised by Mrs. Garcia, the housekeeper who came every day at 3. Weekends meant Ethan's baseball games or piano lessons. Michael had indeed arranged for Lily to have formal instruction after seeing her natural talent. The piano teacher, Ms. Abernathy, declared Lily a prodigy after just 3 lessons. She has an ear, Ms. Abernathy told Michael, a gift. She feels the music in a way that can't be taught. Rebecca had been in the kitchen when this assessment was delivered. Later, Lily overheard her telling Michael, "Of course, she's latching onto piano. She knows it's Claire's thing, she's smart, she's figured out how to get to you." Despite these undercurrents, life in the Crawford household had a rhythm, a stability that Lily had never known. She had her own clothing now, her own backpack for school, her own toothbrush in the bathroom. Small things that represented something monumental, permanence. But permanence was an illusion, as Lily well knew. The social worker, Mrs. Patel, visited twice a month, asking questions, taking notes, discussing options and placements, with Michael and Rebecca behind closed doors. Each visit left Rebecca tense and Michael quiet, retreating to his study with a glass of scotch. One Wednesday in December, Lily came home from school to find Rebecca in her bedroom, standing by the dresser with something in her hand. She turned. When Lily entered, her expression unreadable. "What's this?" Rebecca asked, holding up a small silver locket on a delicate chain. Lily froze in the doorway. The locket was Rebecca's. She'd seen her wearing it on special occasions. "I don't know," she said carefully. "It was in your drawer, under your socks." Rebecca's voice was controlled, her eyes hard. "This is mine, Lily. It was a gift from my mother." "I didn't put it there," Lily said, her heart racing. "I've never touched it." "Then how did it get in your drawer?" Rebecca took a step closer. "No one else would have any reason to move my jewelry." "I don't know," Lily repeated, her voice smaller now. "I didn't take it." Rebecca studied her for a long moment. "I want to believe you," she said finally, "but you need to understand, things like this can't happen in this house. Trust is essential in a family." "I didn't take it," Lily insisted, her eyes filling with tears despite her best efforts. Rebecca sighed, slipping the locket into her pocket. "We'll discuss this with Michael when he gets home." She moved past Lily, adding, "Stay in your room until dinner, please." Alone, Lily sat on the edge of her bed, her mind racing. Why would Rebecca's locket be in her drawer? She hadn't taken it. She'd never steal from the Crawfords, not after everything they'd done for her. But she knew how this would look to them, to the social worker, to anyone who heard the story. Street kid steals from the family trying to help her. It was the narrative people expected, the one they were waiting for. Dinner that night was a tense affair. Ethan, sensing the atmosphere, tried to fill the silence with stories about his day. but even his cheerful chatter couldn't dispel the cloud hanging over the table. When Ethan went upstairs to finish his homework, Michael turned to Lily. "Rebecca told me what happened," he said, his voice gentle but serious. "I need you to be honest with us, Lily. Did you take the locket?" "No," Lily said, meeting his eyes. "I wouldn't do that." Michael glanced at Rebecca, who was pushing food around her plate without eating. "Is it possible you took it without thinking? Maybe you were admiring it and forgot to put it back?" "I never touched it," Lily insisted. "I've never been in your bedroom or your jewelry box. I wouldn't." "The locket didn't just walk into your drawer by itself," Rebecca said sharply. "And I know Ethan wouldn't have taken it." "I didn't take it," Lily repeated, tears threatening again. Michael sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Okay, let's all take a breath. It's been found, that's what matters. No harm done." "That's not the point, Michael," Rebecca said. "The point is the breach of trust. How can we—" She stopped, glancing at Lily. "We'll discuss this later." Lily was excused from the table, sent back to her room with the weight of suspicion heavy on her shoulders. Through the floor she could hear Rebecca and Michael arguing in the kitchen, their voices rising and falling like waves. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," Rebecca was saying. "You can't just bring a child off the streets and expect everything to be perfect. She's had to survive on her own. Of course she developed certain behaviors." "We don't know that she took it," Michael countered. "And even if she did, we need to understand why. Kids don't steal without reason." "Don't make excuses for her," Rebecca snapped. "This is our home, Michael. I have a right to feel safe in my own home." "She's a child, Rebecca. A child who's been through more than we can imagine." "And what about our child? What about Ethan? What example does this set for him?" The argument continued, but Lily stopped listening. She crawled into bed fully clothed, pulling the covers over her head, as if they could shield her from what was happening. She hadn't taken the locket, but she knew with the certainty of someone who had seen the worst of humanity that it didn't matter. The truth was less important than what people believed, and Rebecca believed she was a thief. The next morning, breakfast was subdued. Ethan, picking up on the tension, kept shooting worried glances between his parents and Lily. Rebecca announced she had errands to run and wouldn't be driving them to school. "I'll take them," Michael said, checking his watch. "I can move my first meeting." In the car, after they dropped Ethan off at his classroom, Michael turned to Lily. "I believe you," he said simply. "About the locket." Lily looked at him, surprised. "Rebecca's been under a lot of stress lately," he continued. "Her mother's been ill, and work has been demanding. The locket is special to her, and she was upset when she couldn't find it. But I know you wouldn't take it." "Thank you," Lily whispered, relief washing over her. Michael smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him in days. "You're part of our family now, Lily. That means we trust each other. Now go learn something amazing, okay?" Family. The word echoed in Lily's mind as she walked to her classroom. She'd never had a family before, not one she could remember anyway. Was that what they were becoming? Was that even possible? The day passed in a blur of lessons and activities. Lily excelled in math and music, but struggled with reading. The words sometimes jumbled themselves on the page, making her head hurt. Her teacher, Mrs. Reynolds, had been working with her one-on-one, and slowly the letters were becoming more cooperative. When the final bell rang, Lily gathered her things and headed to the front of the school where Mrs. Garcia usually waited. But today it was Rebecca who stood by the car, her sunglasses hiding her eyes. "Where's Mrs. Garcia?" Lily asked as she approached, suddenly wary. "I finished my errands early," Rebecca explained, opening the passenger door. "Ethan has a dentist appointment, so it's just us heading home." The drive was silent. Rebecca focused on the road, Lily staring out the window at the snow-covered streets. When they arrived home, Rebecca unlocked the door and gestured for Lily to go inside. "I need to make some calls," she said, heading toward her office. "Help yourself to a snack if you're hungry." Alone in the kitchen, Lily took an apple from the fruit bowl and went upstairs to start her homework. She was halfway through a math worksheet when she heard a sharp cry from Rebecca's bedroom. No, no, no. Rebecca's voice was distressed. Lily hesitated, then stepped into the hallway. Rebecca, are you okay? Rebecca appeared in her doorway, her face pale. My pearl earrings, she said. The ones Michael gave me for our anniversary. They're gone. Lily's stomach dropped. Don't, Rebecca cut her off. Just don't, Lily, I've had enough. She brushed past Lily and went downstairs, her phone already in her hand. An hour later, Michael arrived home, his expression grim. He found Lily in her room, curled up on the window seat, watching the snow fall. Rebecca called me, he said, sitting beside her. She's very upset about her earrings. I didn't take them, Lily said automatically. I haven't been in your room. Michael was quiet for a moment. I want to believe you, Lily, but this is the second time something valuable has gone missing. It's difficult to ignore the pattern. But I didn't do it, Lily insisted, tears spilling now. Why would I? You've given me everything, food, clothes, a home. Why would I steal from you? Michael sighed, looking suddenly tired. Sometimes people do things for reasons they don't fully understand, especially when they've been through trauma. It's not about need, it's about security, maybe. Having something to hold on to if everything else disappears. That's not me, Lily said fiercely. I'm not a thief. Lily, Michael's voice was gentle but firm. If you took the earrings, you can tell me. We can work through this together, but I need the truth. I am telling the truth. Lily stood up, her small frame shaking. I didn't take the locket, and I didn't take the earrings. Why doesn't anyone believe me? Before Michael could respond, Rebecca appeared in the doorway. I found them, she said, her voice oddly flat. The earrings. They were in the bathroom, in the drawer with my makeup. See, Lily said, relief flooding her. I told you I didn't take them. But Rebecca wasn't looking at her. Mrs. Patel is coming tomorrow, she told Michael. I called her this afternoon. We need to discuss Lily's situation. Rebecca, is that really necessary? Michael asked, standing. You found the earrings? Yes, this time I found them. But what about next time? Or the time after that? This isn't working, Michael. She needs more help than we can provide. She's doing well in school. Ms. Abernathy says she's gifted in music. She and Ethan will be fine, Rebecca interrupted. Children are resilient. He'll understand that this was temporary, that we were trying to help, but it wasn't the right fit. Right fit, Michael repeated, his voice rising. She's a child, Rebecca, not a pair of shoes we can return if they pinch. That's not fair, and you know it. Rebecca's eyes flashed. I've tried, Michael. For weeks, I've tried. But I can't. To live like this, always wondering what will disappear next, always feeling like I have to lock things away in my own home. Lily backed away from both of them, her back hitting the wall. This was happening again. Another home, another rejection. She should have known better than to hope. Stop it, both of you, she said suddenly, her voice stronger than either of them had ever heard it. Just stop. I didn't take anything. But if you want me to go, I'll go. I was fine before. I'll be fine again. She pushed past them and ran downstairs, grabbing her coat from the hook by the door. Outside, the snow was falling harder now, the wind biting through her clothes. But she didn't care. She ran down the street, away from the house, away from the argument, away from the brief illusion of belonging. Behind her, she heard Michael calling her name, his voice growing more desperate with each repetition. But she didn't stop. She ran until her lungs burned and her legs ached, until the elegant brownstones of Beacon Hill gave way to the wider streets of downtown. Only then did she slow, realizing she had nowhere to go. Her old sleeping spots would be buried under snow. The shelters would be full on a night like this, and the streets, once so familiar, now seemed hostile and strange after weeks of comfort and safety. As darkness fell and the temperature dropped, Lily huddled in the doorway of a closed bookstore, trying to stay warm. She thought of Ethan returning from his dentist appointment to find her gone. Would he cry? Would he miss her? Or would Rebecca convince him it was for the best? She thought of Michael, his belief in her wavering in the face of Rebecca's certainty. Had he ever really seen her, or had she just been a project, a way to assuage some old guilt? and she thought of Rebecca with her perfect house and her fragile happiness. What was she so afraid of? What did she see when she looked at Lily that made her so desperate to be rid of her? As the night grew colder and the snow continued to fall, Lily pulled her knees to her chest and closed her eyes. She was back where she started, alone, invisible, forgotten. Only now it hurt more than before, because for a brief shining moment she had known what it felt like to be seen. The search lasted through the night. Michael drove the streets of Boston, stopping at every park, every alley, every place a small girl might seek shelter from the storm. Police officers, alerted to a missing child, joined the search. Even Rebecca, bundled against the cold, checked shelters and hospitals. Ethan sat at the kitchen table with Mrs. Garcia, refusing to go to bed until Lily was found. He'd made hot chocolate, because Lily will be cold when she comes back, and set out cookies on a plate. Every time headlights swept across the front window, he ran to the door, only to be disappointed when it wasn't his father returning with Lily. It was nearly dawn when Michael's car pulled into the driveway. Ethan raced to the door, his face falling when he saw his father alone, exhausted, snow melting in his hair. "You didn't find her," Ethan said, his voice small. Michael crouched down, placing his hands on his son's shoulders. "Not yet, buddy. But we will. The police are still looking and they have her picture now. Is she okay? It's so cold outside." "Lily's tough," Michael assured him, though his own heart was heavy with worry. "She knows how to take care of herself." "But she shouldn't have to," Ethan insisted. "She should be here with us." Michael couldn't argue with that simple truth. He sent Ethan to bed with promises that he'd wake him if there was news, then went to the kitchen where Rebecca sat at the island, a cup of untouched tea in front of her. "Nothing?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Michael shook his head, pouring himself a cup of coffee. "The storm made it difficult, but they'll keep looking once it's light." Rebecca stared into her tea. "This is my fault," she said quietly. "It's not that simple." "Isn't it? I accused her of stealing. I called the social worker without discussing it with you. I made her feel unwelcome in our home." Rebecca looked up, her eyes red-rimmed. "I was so sure she took my things, Michael. So sure." Michael sat beside her, too tired to maintain his anger. "Why, Rebecca, you never gave her a chance from the moment she arrived. You've been waiting for her to fail." Rebecca was silent for a long moment. Then, "She reminded me of myself." Michael stared at her, confused. "What do you mean?" "My childhood wasn't like yours, Michael. It wasn't private schools and sailing lessons and summer homes on the Cape." Rebecca's fingers tightened around her mug. "My mother was a single parent who worked 3 jobs. We were always one missed paycheck away from homelessness. When I was 10, we lost our apartment. We lived in our car for almost a year." Michael reached for her hand. "You never told me." "It's not something I like to remember," Rebecca said, her voice tight. "I worked so hard to leave that life behind. College scholarships, networking, marrying well." She gave a bitter laugh. "I crafted this perfect life, this perfect image. And then you brought Lily home, and it was like looking at a ghost of who I might have been if things had gone differently." "So you resented her because she reminded you of your past?" Rebecca shook her head. "I was afraid of her because she made me remember who I really am. Not Rebecca Crawford, successful interior designer and perfect Beacon Hill wife, but Becky Simmons, the girl who stole food from grocery stores and washed in gas station bathrooms." Michael was silent, absorbing this revelation about the woman he'd been married to for 4 years. "And the worst part," Rebecca continued, tears falling now, "is that I knew she didn't take my things. I knew it, Michael, because I moved them myself." "You what?" Michael pulled back, staring at her in disbelief. "I put the locket in her drawer. I hid the earrings in my makeup drawer and pretended they were missing." Rebecca's voice broke. "I wanted you to see that she didn't belong here, that she wasn't one of us. But the truth is, I was terrified that she was exactly like me." Michael stood up, pacing the kitchen. "Do you realize what you've done? She's out there in a blizzard because she thought we didn't believe her, because she thought we didn't want her." "I know," Rebecca whispered. and I don't know how to fix it." Before Michael could respond, the doorbell rang. They froze, looking at each other, then both rushed to the front door. A police officer stood on the porch, snow swirling around him. Behind him, huddled in a blanket in the back of the patrol car, was a small figure with tangled dark hair. "Is this your missing girl?" the officer asked. "We found her at the South Station bus terminal. She was trying to buy a ticket to New York." Relief washed over Michael like a physical force. "Yes, that's her. Thank God." They brought Lily inside, her small body shivering, despite the blanket. Her face was pale, her lips tinged with blue from the cold. She didn't look at either of them, keeping her eyes fixed on the floor. "You're safe now," the officer told her. "These people have been looking for you all night." Lily said nothing, standing in the entryway like a statue, the melting snow forming a puddle around her feet. "Thank you for finding her," Michael told the officer, shaking his hand. "We can't tell you how worried we were." After the officer left, an uncomfortable silence filled the house. Lily still hadn't moved or spoken. "Let's get you warmed up," Michael said gently, trying to guide her toward the stairs. "A hot bath, some dry clothes." "I'm not staying," Lily said, her voice hoarse from the cold. "I just came back to get my things." "Lily," Michael began, but Rebecca stepped forward. "Wait," she said, kneeling in front of Lily so they were eye to eye. "Before you decide anything, there's something I need to tell you." Lily looked at her finally, wariness evident in every line of her small body. "I lied," Rebecca said simply. "About the locket and the earrings. You didn't take them. I moved them to make it look like you did." Lily's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Not surprise, Michael realized with a pang, but confirmation. She had suspected all along. "Why?" Lily asked, the single word carrying the weight of all her hurt and confusion. Rebecca took a deep breath. "Because I was afraid, not of you, but of what you represented, of the memories you brought back." She glanced at Michael, then back at Lily. "When I was a little younger than you, my mother and I were homeless. We lived in our car, in shelters, sometimes on the street. I was hungry and scared and angry, just like you've been." Lily's posture shifted slightly, surprise registering on her face. "I worked so hard to forget that time, to become someone else," Rebecca continued, "and when Michael brought you home, it was like my past had come back to haunt me. I was afraid that if we kept you, I'd have to face who I really am. And I was afraid that if they knew the truth about me, they wouldn't want me anymore." "That's not true," Michael interjected, placing a hand on Rebecca's shoulder. "Your past doesn't define you, Rebecca. It's part of you, but it's not all of you." "I know that now," Rebecca said, her eyes still on Lily. "And I need you to know that I'm sorry. What I did was wrong and cruel, and you didn't deserve it. No child deserves to feel unwanted or disbelieved." Lily stood very still, processing these words. Then, to both their surprise, she asked, "Were you scared when you were homeless?" Rebecca nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Terrified every day." "Me too," Lily whispered. "Every day." A silent understanding passed between them, a recognition of shared experience that transcended words. Then, from the top of the stairs, came a cry of joy. "Lily!" Ethan, awakened by the commotion, flew down the stairs and threw his arms around her, nearly knocking her over. "You came back. I knew you would." For the first time since returning, Lily's rigid posture softened. She hugged Ethan back, burying her face in his shoulder. "I made hot chocolate for you," Ethan told her, pulling back to look at her face. "And I saved you cookies. Are you hungry? You must be super hungry." Lily nodded, the ghost of a smile, touching her lips. "Come on," Ethan said, tugging her toward the kitchen. "Mom, Dad, come on, Lily needs breakfast." In the kitchen, they moved in a careful dance around each other. Michael made fresh hot chocolate while Rebecca prepared toast and scrambled eggs. Ethan sat beside Lily at the island, talking non-stop about how worried they'd all been, how even his teacher had joined the search, how he'd stayed up all night waiting for her. Lily ate silently, the warmth and food gradually bringing color back to her cheeks. When she'd finished, Michael sat across from her, his expression serious. "Lily, we want you to stay," he said. "Not temporarily, not as a guest, but as part of our family, permanently." Lily looked from Michael to Rebecca, uncertainty in her eyes. "It's what we all want," Rebecca affirmed, meeting Lily's gaze steadily. "What I should have wanted from the beginning, if I hadn't been so caught up in my own fears." "Like you'd adopt me?" Lily asked, the concept almost too big to grasp. "Yes," Michael said, "if that's what you want, too." Lily was quiet for a long moment. "I thought about leaving," she said finally. "On the bus. Going somewhere no one knew. Me. Starting over." She looked at Ethan, who was watching her with wide, hopeful eyes. "But then I thought about piano lessons and school and Ethan's baseball games." Her gaze shifted to Michael. "And playing chess with you on Sundays." Then, to Rebecca. "And the cookies we baked for Ethan's class." "You thought about us," Rebecca said softly, "even after what happened." Lily nodded. "I didn't want to, but I did." "That's what family is," Michael told her. "The people you think about even when you're angry with them. The people you miss even when you're trying not to." "We want to be your family, Lily," Rebecca said. "Your real family. If you'll give me another chance." Lily looked down at her empty plate, then back up at the three faces watching her. "I want to stay," she said simply. The relief in the room was palpable. Ethan cheered, throwing his arms around Lily again. Michael reached across the island to squeeze her hand, and Rebecca, after a moment's hesitation, came around to stand beside Lily's chair. "May I hug you?" she asked quietly. Lily nodded, and Rebecca enfolded her in a gentle embrace. "Thank you," she whispered into Lily's hair, "for being braver than I was." Later that morning, as snow continued to fall outside, turning Boston into a winter wonderland, the newly affirmed family gathered in the living room. Ethan and Lily built a fortress of pillows and blankets in front of the fireplace. Michael made popcorn. Rebecca called Mrs. Patel to inform her of their decision to pursue formal adoption. "It won't be easy," Mrs. Patel warned. "There will be home studies, background checks, court appearances. The process could take months, even a year." "We have time," Rebecca told her, "and we're not going anywhere." That evening, after Ethan had finally succumbed to exhaustion and fallen asleep on the couch, Michael found Rebecca and Lily sitting at the piano. Rebecca was showing Lily how to play a simple Christmas carol, their hands moving together over the keys. "My mother taught me this," Rebecca was saying, "before everything fell apart. We had an old upright piano in our apartment. I wasn't very good, but I loved playing." "You never told me you played," Michael said, joining them. Rebecca smiled ruefully. "There are a lot of things I never told you. I was so afraid of being seen as less than perfect." "Perfect is overrated," Michael said, sitting on Lily's other side. "Real is much more interesting." As the three of them sat together at the piano that had been silent for so long, something healing moved through the house. A current of truth and acceptance that washed away old fears and made space for new beginnings. Outside, the storm that had threatened to tear them apart was finally beginning to subside. Inside, a different kind of weather was changing, the emotional climate of a family rediscovering itself, rebuilding on a foundation of honesty rather than appearances. And at the center of it all was a small girl who had once been invisible, who had survived by staying in the shadows, who was now finally stepping into the light of belonging. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be legal hurdles, emotional adjustments, difficult conversations. Rebecca would need to continue, confronting her past rather than burying it. Michael would have to balance his memories of Claire with his love for his new family. Ethan would face questions and perhaps teasing at school about his new sister. And Lily would need to learn to trust again, to believe that this time, this family, this home was real and lasting, that she was no longer invisible, that she mattered. But for now, in this moment, as their fingers moved together across the piano keys, creating something beautiful from their combined effort, there was hope. Not the fragile hope that Lily had carried with her on the streets, but something stronger, more substantial. A hope built on truth, on seeing and being seen, on the recognition that family isn't about perfection, it's about belonging, just as you are. Spring came to Boston like a promise fulfilled. The snow melted, revealing crocuses pushing through the soil in the public garden. Trees that had stood bare against winter skies now burst with pale green buds. The city transformed, and with it, the Crawford family. The past 4 months had been a journey of paperwork, court appearances, home studies, and endless meetings. But today, as they climbed the steps of the Suffolk County Courthouse, there was an air of anticipation among them. "Are you nervous?" Ethan asked Lily as they waited outside the judge's chambers. He'd insisted on wearing his best suit for the occasion and had carefully combed his hair without being asked. Lily smoothed down the skirt of her new blue dress. "A little," she admitted. "What if the judge says no?" "He won't," Ethan said with absolute confidence. "Dad says all the reports are positive, and Mrs. Patel is on our side now." Lily nodded, though the flutter in her stomach remained. She'd learned over the past months that happy endings weren't guaranteed, even when everything seemed to be going well. Life had taught her caution. Rebecca knelt in front of her, adjusting the ribbon in Lily's hair. "No matter what happens in there," she said softly, "you're already our daughter. This is just making it official on paper." Lily searched Rebecca's face, finding only sincerity in her eyes. Their relationship had been a slow, careful rebuilding of trust. There had been difficult conversations, moments of retreat on both sides, but also breakthroughs. Rebecca had started sharing stories from her past, not just the painful ones, but the happy memories too, the ones she'd buried along with the hurt. And Lily had begun to believe that Rebecca truly wanted her there, not just for Michael and Ethan's sake, but for her own. "Crawford family?" A court officer appeared in the doorway. "Judge Hernandez is ready for you now." The adoption hearing was brief but meaningful. Judge Hernandez, a kind-faced woman with silver-streaked hair, asked Lily if she understood what adoption meant, if this was what she wanted. Lily's yes was clear and certain. The judge asked Michael and Rebecca if they were committed to providing Lily with a loving home, to treating her as their own child in all ways. "We are," they answered in unison. "And, young man," the judge addressed Ethan, "how do you feel about gaining a sister today?" Ethan beamed. "I already have a sister," he said simply. "We're just waiting for you to make it official." Judge Hernandez smiled. "Well, I see no reason to keep you waiting any longer." She signed the documents in front of her with a flourish. "By the power vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I hereby declare Lily to be the legal daughter of Michael and Rebecca Crawford, with all the rights and privileges thereof. Congratulations, Lily Crawford. You are officially part of this family." Applause broke out in the small chamber. Mrs. Patel wiped away tears. Michael hugged Lily tightly, whispering, "Welcome home. Officially." Ethan bounced in place, shouting, "She's my sister for real." And Rebecca, who had maintained her composure throughout the proceedings, finally broke down, pulling Lily into a fierce embrace. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me the chance to be your mother." Later, the celebration lunch at their favorite restaurant near Boston Common, Lily sat surrounded by her new extended family. Michael's parents had flown in from California for the occasion. Rebecca's mother, frail but determined, had come from Florida. Ethan's friends from school and their parents. Lily's piano teacher, Ms. Abernathy. Even some of Lily's classmates with whom she'd formed tentative friendships over the past months. As plates of pasta and pizza were passed around the long table, Michael stood and tapped his glass. "For attention. I want to thank everyone for being here today to celebrate this special occasion," he began. "Family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about who you choose and who chooses you back." He looked at Lily, his eyes bright with emotion. "Lily, you chose us even when we made it difficult. You saw something in us worth believing in. And in doing so, you helped us see ourselves more clearly." Rebecca stood next to him, taking his hand. "When Lily came into our lives, I was afraid," she admitted. "Afraid of the past, afraid of change, afraid of opening our family to someone new. But Lily taught me that the things we fear are often the things that can heal us. She hasn't just joined our family. She's made it stronger, more honest, more complete. Ethan, not to be outdone, scrambled onto his chair. "And she's the best sister ever," he declared. "She helps me with my homework and she doesn't even get mad when I borrow her colored pencils without asking." Laughter rippled around the table. Then Rebecca raised her glass higher. "To Lily Crawford," she said, "our daughter, our sister, our family." "To Lily," the group echoed, glasses clinking around the table. Lily, overwhelmed by the moment, looked around at the faces of her new family. 8 months ago she had been invisible, surviving on the margins of society, convinced that she didn't matter to anyone. Now she sat at the center of this gathering, visible, valued, loved. Summer arrived with a heat wave that sent Bostonians fleeing to the beaches of Cape Cod and the islands. The Crawfords joined the exodus, renting a house on Nantucket for 2 weeks in July, the first real family vacation any of them had taken in years. The beach house was smaller than their Beacon Hill brownstone, but what it lacked in size, it made up for in charm and proximity to the ocean. Lily fell in love with the sea immediately, spending hours collecting shells and sea glass, learning to body surf in the gentle waves, building elaborate sand castles with Ethan. One evening, as the sun began to set over the water, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Rebecca found Lily sitting alone on the beach watching the changing colors. "Mind if I join you?" she asked, spreading a blanket on the sand. Lily smiled and moved over to make room. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, listening to the rhythmic sound of the waves. "I used to dream about the ocean," Lily said finally. "When I was living on the streets, I'd never seen it in real life, but I'd seen pictures in library books. I used to imagine how it would feel to swim in water that went on forever." Rebecca wrapped an arm around Lily's shoulders. "And how does the reality compare to the dream?" "Better," Lily said without hesitation. "Louder, bigger, saltier." Grinned. "More seaweed than I expected." Rebecca laughed. "Life is often like that, messier than our dreams, but somehow more real, more satisfying." Lily picked up a handful of sand, letting it sift through her fingers. "Did you ever dream about having a daughter? Before me, I mean." Rebecca was quiet for a moment. "Yes," she said finally. "Before I married Michael, I had a life with someone else. We were planning a family when things changed." She took a deep breath. "I lost a baby, a little girl. She would have been about your age now." Lily looked up at Rebecca, surprised by this revelation. "I'm sorry." "It was a long time ago," Rebecca said, her eyes on the horizon. "After that, I closed that part of my heart. I told myself I was happy being Ethan's stepmother, that I didn't need a child of my own. I think that's part of why I reacted so badly when you came into our lives. You awakened feelings I'd tried very hard to bury. Are you sad that I'm not really yours? Biologically, I mean." Rebecca turned to face her fully. "Lily, listen to me. Biology is just science. Family is love. You are my daughter in every way. That matters. The judge said so, but more importantly, my heart says so." She took Lily's hand, placing it over her heart. "Feel that. That's a mother's love. For you. No DNA test required." Lily leaned into Rebecca's side, and together they watched as the first stars appeared in the darkening sky. Later that night, as the family played a heated game of Monopoly in the beach house living room, the sound of laughter filling the small space, Lily looked around at the 3 people who had become her world. Michael, strategic and thoughtful, carefully counting his money. Rebecca, competitive and animated, negotiating property trades. Ethan, impulsive and joyful, celebrating each roll of the dice as an adventure. And herself, Lily Crawford, no longer invisible, no longer silent, no longer alone. A daughter, a sister, a member of a family that had chosen her, and that she had chosen in return. The adoption had become official in the spring, but it was here, in this ordinary moment of family game night, that Lily truly felt the permanence of her place in their lives. This wasn't a temporary arrangement that could be revoked. This wasn't conditional on her being perfect or grateful or small. This was real, lasting, unconditional. Fall brought new beginnings. Ethan started middle school, nervous and excited about changing classes and having a locker. Lily, now in 4th grade, had tested out of the special academic support class and joined the regular classroom. Her reading had improved dramatically, though she still sometimes needed help with longer texts. In music, however, she continued to excel, with Ms. Abernathy suggesting she apply to a prestigious weekend program at the New England Conservatory. Rebecca's interior design business was thriving, but she had made changes to her schedule, ensuring she was home when the children returned from school most days. Michael, too, had adjusted his work hours, delegating more responsibilities to his partners, so he could attend Ethan's baseball games and Lily's piano recitals. Their home had changed as well. The formal perfection that had once characterized the Crawford residence had given way to a more lived-in comfort. Ethan's baseball gear often cluttered the hallway. Lily's music sheets spilled across the coffee table. Rebecca's design samples occupied the dining room table more often than not. Michael's beloved first edition books migrated from the study to wherever he was currently reading. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And in its imperfection, it had become something more beautiful than the flawless facade it had once presented. 1. October afternoon, as golden leaves fell from the trees lining Beacon Hill, Lily sat at the piano working on a piece for her upcoming recital. The music flowed from her fingers with increasing confidence, filling the house with its complex harmonies. Michael paused in the doorway, listening. "That sounds wonderful," he said when she finished. "Chopin?" Lily nodded. "Nocturne in E-flat. Major. Ms. Abernathy says it's usually for more advanced students, but she thinks I can handle it." "She's right," Michael said, joining her on the bench. "You have a gift, Lily." "Like Claire," Lily said quietly. She had learned over time that it was okay to speak of Michael's first wife, that remembering her didn't diminish the family they had now. "Yes," Michael agreed. "She would have loved to hear you play." He ran his fingers lightly over the keys. "She always said music was the purest form of emotion, that it could express things words never could." Lily considered this. Do you think she would have been okay with me being here, in your family?" Michael put an arm around her. "Claire had the biggest heart of anyone I've ever known. She would have been the first to welcome you home." He smiled, a mixture of old sadness and new joy in his eyes. "In fact, sometimes I think she had a hand in bringing you to us. A little cosmic orchestration." "Like fate?" Lily asked. "Like love," Michael corrected. "Which is more powerful than fate, in my opinion. Fate just puts people in each other's paths. Love is what makes them stay." From the kitchen came the sound of Ethan and Rebecca laughing as they prepared dinner together, a weekly tradition they had established, where Ethan learned to cook and Rebecca learned to embrace the mess that inevitably resulted. "We should help them," Lily said, closing the piano. "Last time they made spaghetti and there was sauce on the ceiling." Michael laughed. "How did I miss that?" "Rebecca cleaned it up before you got home," Lily confided. "She said some things are better left as family secrets." As they walked toward the kitchen, Michael squeezed Lily's shoulder. "You know, a year ago this house was so quiet. Rebecca and I moved around each other like ghosts. Ethan tried so hard to make everyone happy. We looked like a family, but something was missing." "What?" Lily asked. "Joy," Michael said simply. "The kind of joy that comes from being fully seen and accepted, even the messy parts, especially the messy parts." In the kitchen, flour dusted every surface. Ethan wore it in his hair like premature gray. Rebecca had a smudge across her cheek. They were attempting to make homemade pizza with varying degrees of success. "We may need to order takeout as backup," Rebecca admitted when she saw Michael and Lily. "The dough is not cooperating." "I think we killed the yeast," Ethan added solemnly. "It was supposed to get all puffy, but it just sat there all sad and flat." "The water was probably too hot," Lily suggested, rolling up her sleeves. "Let me try. I used to watch the bakers through the windows of that place on Charles Street. Together, The four of them salvaged dinner, Lily showing them how to properly knead the dough, Rebecca organizing the toppings, Ethan grating cheese with more enthusiasm than precision, Michael setting the table and opening wine for the adults and sparkling cider for the children. As they sat around the table, eating slightly misshapen but delicious pizza, talking over each other in their eagerness to share the day's events, Lily felt that familiar warmth expand in her chest. This was family, not the idealized version she had imagined during her lonely nights on the streets, but something better, something real, something that had room for mistakes and forgiveness, for hard truths and healing, for the past and the future. The invisible girl had been seen, the unwanted child had been chosen, the broken pieces had come together to form something new and whole. Not perfect. There would still be arguments, misunderstandings, moments of doubt and fear, but perfect had never been the goal. Belonging was. And in this noisy, messy, loving home, Lily Crawford had finally found her place. As the evening wound down, as homework was completed and showers taken, as goodnight hugs were exchanged, Lily stood at her bedroom window, looking out at the city lights. Boston had once been a place of survival for her, a cold and indifferent backdrop to her struggle to exist. Now it was home, filled with familiar streets and favorite places, with school friends and piano lessons, with a past she was no longer running from and a future she was eagerly running toward. Behind her, the door opened softly. Rebecca came in carrying a small box. "I thought you might like to have this," she said, sitting on the edge of Lily's bed. "I found it when I was cleaning out some old things." Lily joined her, taking the box curiously. Inside was a silver locket, the same one that had once been hidden in her drawer, the catalyst for so much pain and eventual healing. "It was my mother's," Rebecca explained. "And before that my grandmother's. I'd like you to have it now." Lily lifted the locket, opening it to find it empty. "There's no picture." "I thought we could choose one together," Rebecca said. "From our vacation, maybe. The four of us on the beach at sunset." Lily closed her hand around the locket, feeling its weight, its significance. "I'd like that." Rebecca helped her fasten it around her neck, then hugged her tightly. "I love you, Lily Crawford," she whispered. "More than I ever thought possible." "I love you too," Lily whispered back, the words still new enough to feel momentous. Later, after Rebecca had gone, Lily lay in bed, her hand curled around the locket. Outside her window, the city continued its nighttime rhythm, car horns and distant sirens, the murmur of pedestrians, the hum of urban life. But inside this house, inside this room, inside this family, there was peace. The little girl who had once been too small for the city, too small for hurried glances and wide strides, and high walls, had found her place. Not by making herself bigger or louder or more demanding, but by being exactly who she was, and by finding people who saw her, truly saw her, and loved what they saw. As sleep claimed her, Lily smiled. Tomorrow would bring school and piano practice, homework and chores, the ordinary rhythm of family life. And in its very ordinariness it was extraordinary, because it was hers, because she belonged. In the darkness the locket gleamed against her nightshirt, empty still but full of promise, like the future stretching out before her, like the heart that had once been closed but now opened wider every day.